Hello. Hello, everybody. We have only 15 minutes, so we're going to start immediately. A year or 2 years ago, in my business, and I think in yours, we were not talking so much about AI, right? And suddenly it accelerated so much. So we're in business with these people since 15 years, and we're friends, and we're building the identity of the La Monnaie opera together. And so last year, we started on an experiment about using AI in communications. I'm going to continue. I'm Thierry. I'm one of the founders of Base Design. We have 5 studios doing branding, mainly in culture, in Brussels, New York, Geneva, Melbourne, and a digital studio. And we're in business since 25 years. Gilles?
So, hi everyone, very happy to be here. So, my name is Gilles van Handenhove, but you can just call me Gilles, it may be easier. I'm head of communication and marketing at La Monnaie Opera House. So, just to give you maybe a little bit of context about this presentation today, each year we launch our the next season. So, for example, in a couple of weeks we will be launching our 24-25 season, which starts in September and ends in June. What we are going to talk about is what we've done for this year's season, so the 23-24 season. So Opera House, I don't know exactly what's your relationship with the opera in this room. For a lot of people, it's an art from the past. It's partly true, it is true. It's mostly stories about, Mary who's in love with John, but John is in love with Elizabeth. And then, for Elizabeth it's complicated at this time.
And then they die. At some point they die.
And at the end everybody dies. And on top of that, they sing.
Yeah.
So, not easy for everyone, that's for sure. But yet, in opera we convey a lot of contemporary issues. There are a lot of modern questions that we address, and this is something that we try always to convey at La Monnaie Opera House. How do we try to remain contemporary and relevant in today's world?
So what you see behind us is basically 15 years of collaboration and great collaboration with the director, Peter de Caluet. And each year we had a theme, for example, the 7 Sins, or decline in democracies. So it's really interesting when you have a theme to hold on and to build a season. It makes a strong mental image in the mind of your audiences. So this last year was the last 2 years of Peter, so he wanted to finish on a high note. And this is what he gave us as a brief.
So, looking back at the briefing or the vision of our director for the 23-24 season, we tried to find like a fil rouge, in all of the productions that we had during the year. And most of them were about fatality, not very happy themes really about the end of the world. We are showing the Ring of Richard Wagner, which talks about the end of the gods, etc. So quite heavy topics, but the fil rouge that we tried to bring across all the productions was the idea of fate. And so the question for us and for Base Design was, how do we talk about fate? How do we embed that in the way we conceive our campaign?
So we decided, and we proposed to Peter and the team of La Monnaie, basically to use the campaign as an experiment in AI, and also to question the position of the designer or the artist in contemporary society. So we thought about, okay, we will ask the dramaturgist of La Monnaie to come up with a one-liner to summarize the play, so to spoil the play somehow, and just to surrender to the AI and just see what would come out as images for display. So, for example, this line was used for one of the Wagner's opera. It was like, that's the summary of the play. And so we put that in the prompt for AI. And the second thing was really the question of what will come out, what will be the images, and really use the campaign as an experiment and to throw that in the street. And we were totally unsure about the results and about what we're going to get. And you'll see it's pretty bad sometimes. So this is how it was, so where we use DALL-E. So man kills his brother over some jewelry in futuristic style. So, and that's what happened, and that's what we get. So we were, no AI artists. We were just trying and then get it to refining the ask. And what was interesting is that the plays and the shows were produced and in creation at the same time. So we were basically creating the communication at the same time as the play was created. So that was pretty shitty, for example, and we kept on asking questions to the AI to produce images. So, for example, that kind of thing. And we were interested because, as you can see, AI has made a lot of progress since last year, as you can see. Now we have way better images, but at that time this is what we got. And we were pretty terrified, but we continued because that was the experiment. So, Gilles, you may want to continue on that?
Yeah, so, I mean, looking at this from La Monnaie, we were very nervous about this campaign. But yet it was like a very interesting process because it was like an iterative movement where there was a constant dialogue between the creatives and my teams, where creatives would come up with some visuals, and we would be like, this has nothing to do with with what's in the opera. It's just like too disconnected. On the other hand, my team would also look for images, and creatives would be like, yeah, this is too literal. You are like illustrating literally what's happening in the piece. It's not that interesting. Anyway, there was a lot of research.
Yeah, it was also something interesting. For example, we keep on getting people with 6 fingers, and we were interested with them because we wanted also the images to be kind of dark and creepy and weird. So the more it was like this, we kind of was happy, and when continuing, there was a lot of hundreds of images, right, Gilles?
Yeah, we did look for images for several weeks, prompting DALL-E with keywords and looking at what the result would be, but it was completely random, and sometimes the results wouldn't translate exactly what we would be looking for. Anyway, it was quite interesting to look at the result, but also to think about, okay, how can we look at that in a creative way? How can we harness the tool to create something new? And maybe we should look at it as some ugly images and just state that, okay, it's ugly, but it's something that we've never seen before. So we continued on that.
We had some crisis along the way. You had a crisis and I had mine. I was like in the studio, and my partner at some point passed by the studio where we were doing that. There was all these images on the wall. It was like, can I see you for a minute? And I was like, yes. And I was like, what is this? This is awful. What are you doing, guys? And so, just trust the process. We're going to continue. That's the concept. We don't know what the outcome will be, so let's continue on that. And I think you had kind of the same kind of problem internally at La Monnaie.
Yeah, we had issues, but in a different way. So it was quite interesting because, as Thierry said, the idea of this whole campaign was to embed AI in our creative process, to reflect the idea of fate. So from a creative standpoint, what does it mean? Fate, fatality, the end of everything? Well, it's basically AI taking over, right? So I really had to defend that idea with some of my colleagues, because some of them were like, we are literally betraying artists by working with AI. Because instead of working with artists, instead of paying artists, instead of ensuring that artists have a livelihood, we are resorting to machines, for which you pay a little bit of money, but it's really not much. But for me, it was really important to, to follow that idea because it made a lot of sense. In connection with the initial theme, the theme of fatality and fate as a whole. So there was the result of all of our research. So we had, for example, an opera called Cassandra, which was actually about climate change. So as I said, it's not only about John and Elizabeth and Mary, who are in love with each other.
But they're still dying at the end. Huh?
Yeah, everybody does. That's kind of the rule, the common rule for all operas. But that was the result of our research. After a very long process, these are the images that we selected.
Another thing that we did is we used AI not only to generate the images, but also to do animations and to provide La Monnaie with other type of contents. For example, here it's another tool that we used where we use your face to animate still images. So all these things that we used to make it more interesting and also to give it more tools to communicate to the team of La Monnaie.
And so we had, following that, because we are an opera house, so we were not like truly like in the 21st century somehow in terms of communication and marketing. So for one of the first times, we used that sort of very digital content to create like a digital marketing campaign, which was like completely, advertisement with 3 different phases, phase 1, phase 2, with, looking at how can we portray, the big productions that will attract a lot of people. So in this case, Das Rheingold and Die Walküre were like the big titles that would attract a lot of people. And then the third phase was the conversion phase, where we literally asked people or suggested people to buy a subscription.
So this is how it looked like in the city, in a little more.
La Monnaie Opera House, 16th campaign collaboration with Pace, Wagner's Ring Cycle, and one theme, fate. How to interpret fate in design, deliberately lose control of the creation, surrender the imagery unto the hands of artificial intelligence. We asked the playwrights of La Monnaie to summarize each play into one line, spoiling key elements of the stories to play with fate. Then fed these lines as prompts to the AI. And we set off, endlessly generating, never knowing what the outcome would be. Born from the unexpected, a dance with destiny of sorts, always at the mercy of fate. We breathe life into these images with the help of AI tools. Made them speak, dance, or suspiciously stare at us. And finally, we took it to the streets, placing AI in the public eye, linking the cultural and institutional with an innovative experiment, infusing it with a breath of fresh air, with the very firm ambition to open up the debate around artificial intelligence and how we might come to use it as another tool for expression.
Take away, Gilles.
Right. So as a result of this campaign, we saw like a big increase in terms of sales of our Flex subscriptions. There was a lot of, it generated a lot of attention from other opera houses around us in Europe. For some institutions, it was like, okay, this is creatively very, very interesting. How can we, work around that? For some other institutions, really, it was about, okay, so can we get those cheap images as well? And of course, there was a lot of media coverage. So I think for as far as that is concerned, it was quite a successful campaign. Nevertheless, I think one thing
it's funny is that we were called by TV as AI expert, and obviously we're not at all. The only thing is that we use the tool and we investigate the tool and we use this context to try to know a bit better, and we know a bit better now, both teams of La Monnaie and Base. So yeah, obviously it's a tool, it's not a solution. We try to use it as a solution in this project. It was not very convincing. AI delivers without context or understanding. That is the most interesting part. Like a lot of people are using AI all the time, but without context, without culture, without taste, it's meaningless. And finally, yeah, AI has really bad taste, so you need someone to take the right decision and to put the right prompts. So you really have to trust the artist. And that's that we're going to do this year. Actually, we started, and that's how we're going to end the director, Peter de Caluet's mandate, with where we ask now an AI artist to produce the next campaign. There's a couple of, it's in the process. We're producing a movie in AI. These are only still images. It's not finalized. It's going to be finalized in a month or something. And we're going to go deep through images. This is still images. It's going to all be moving, and we need to put music on, and this is all going. And I will not show you everything because this is preview, so you have to wait for another months or months and a half to see the final movie going out of there. But it's going to be pretty amazing, I think. So yeah, it's an endless go-through across all the shows of La Monnaie of next year. And interesting enough, the core of the communication is this movie. We're going to extract the 5 seconds, the 10 seconds, and even the poster from there, using AI to do that. So it's totally working reversed. We don't have to produce all these things. We're producing one item, which is the movie, and it's extracting everything from there. So 2, 4, 5 seconds of it, and then this is pretty beautiful, for example. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine from the Kunsthalle in Bremen. It's an awesome campaign. I mean, really, I'm super impressed, and I find it so smart how you combine the critical aspect of AI with the creative process. It's just genius. So
thank you.
You're welcome. But I wonder, because you were aware of the critics against AI, have you been working together or each one for yourself with AI where you didn't connect it to the subject itself and where you got critic? Have you been working with AI in campaigns in other contexts? I'm just curious.
What is interesting is that we started actually to discover AI with this project. It was kind of like we throw ourselves in there. And for the teams, I think it was kind of a game. Like it was very fun at the beginning just to play with it and understand what was how it would work. What is amazing for me, at least in my studio, everybody's using AI all the time now. But a very interesting anecdote, just after that campaign, we did another campaign for the Théâtre du Châtelet here in Paris. And we did everything in paper. So it really depends on the concept and the outcome you want to do and you want to have. It's not like everything's going to be AI, that's bullshit. It's really, at the end of the day, is what is the idea, what is the context, what is the question. And from there, of course, we can use AI tools, and we do. But it's not like, it's just another tool, like Photoshop is one of our tools. Well, AI is another tool. Of course, it changed the business. It may change the business and how we will produce images. But we need to keep control, to keep the control on it.
And as far as La Monnaie Opera House is concerned, maybe next year or the year after, we'll be working with an artist who's just, drawing stuff with a pencil. So it's not like, for us, it's really important to keep the human parameter alive in the whole process. This is something that we used because it made a lot of sense conceptually. But we are not going to, to put all the artists on the side and just work with AI in the future. That's not going to happen.
All right, well, thank you so much to you both for this wonderful presentation. Thank you.